In this episode, I will guide you through the whole journey of survival on the ice and snow island. Starting in winter, do not bring food, water, or even clothes. They must complete the construction of the shelter in the middle of the ice and also have to face the beasts. Whoever comes in last will win a prize of $500,000, equivalent to about 14 billion Vietnamese dong. The challenge point this time is the Rocky Mountains, Montana, where the winter is harsh with temperatures dropping to dozens of degrees. If you expose it too much, you can die of hypothermia. To avoid being eliminated from the beginning, the program divided 12 players into 4 teams. The first level includes Dad, Wash and Sarah, 2 years per country. Working together will not be too tiring. After meeting each other, they talk to each other. Wash, who has experience in snow, said that the scariest thing was not the low-temperature ice and snow, but the wind and frost. The second level in the present field includes former Ben Sheik, Cart and Jeremy. Third team at the top with Gabby, R.A. and Key, 2 more a year. The last team was in a village where there was a fight, so the program added a strong girl named Xa Giant. After the teams took their positions, they smiled and took off their clothes and began preparing their backpacks and maps. Japan's temperature is not yet 2 degrees, but because of the wind, it feels only warm. Humanity in the hidden place of love is what lives the child, because if one can become a corpse in the cold. Team 4 had great difficulty because they were so strong that they had to stand and spin around to open the map. Meanwhile, the first team had already started, Sarah Zet, even though her body and legs kept moving. Team 4 had just walked a little and couldn't stand it anymore. Jeremy suggested temporarily hiding behind a large rock, where Sarah found some dry ends that could be used to start a fire. But after the rock was not warm enough, they continued to open the map to find direction. Because they still had a ways to go, they didn't dare stop for too long and quickly set off. If they do not reach their owner's hiding place before dark, they will almost immediately have to run away from their owner. The second team is passing through an area full of thorn bushes, which is really making it difficult for them. In addition to feeling the cold under their feet, they also often suffer from thorns. One person was even injured in the leg, and to escape this area they had to run quickly. 2 hours later, the fourth team arrived at the first valley. The good thing is that this place has no wind and the sunshine makes everything much more comfortable than that. Even more excited to see this hidden place before our eyes. This hidden place is provided by the public program, to prevent contestants from not being able to build a hidden place in time and being eliminated from the beginning. Inside there are also some wedlocks to use, along with fire starters and cooking utensils. Unable to hesitate, Sarah quickly used her illegitimate children, each receiving a modest amount of clothing. It's not enough to criticize their legs and buttocks, but their condition is much better than before. Next, they needed to find materials to fill the holes in the master's hiding place and complete the preparations before dark. Avoid freezing the first night. Meanwhile, the second team has also just divided the river to pretend to be animals. However, due to walking for a long time in the snow, Jeremy's legs turned purple. In extremely low temperature conditions, numbness can occur in just a few minutes, causing cells to gradually die. If this condition persists, damage to the stool may require removal. In order to keep Jeremy's legs, his 2 so-beloved companions pressured him, and his situation got a little better. The first team was planning to attack the fastest, killing and slaying in search of materials to repair the hideout, while Sarah took care of the activities. However, starting a fire is not easy in winter in the Rocky Mountains. After many attempts, Sarah finally managed to light the fire, and the killer and Quats continued to work hundreds of hours to fill the holes before playing night. When carrying dinner, the third team, after dividing the river, seems to have more economical equipment. Because there are 2 foreign members in the team. In addition to virtual work for each person, they have enough materials to make more prizes. Next, the whole team focused on searching for materials to complete his hiding place. During that time, Gabby discovered some footprints near the farm. Through observation, they realized that it was the trace of a hunting wolf. Bait. There were even bones found nearby, indicating that there were quite a few predators. Optical area. In addition to preventing trash, keeping pets together has become a top priority. Back on the fourth exchange, WhatsApp and Jeremy only found pine branches to use as materials. Fill the holes, but the pine branches don't keep them warm effectively. The temperature had dropped below 0. After just a while of activity, both felt like they had lost feeling in their toes. Lang RA is much scarier than we imagine, because it can cause loss of consciousness and internal organs if the body's temperature is not restored in time. Meanwhile, the second team helped Jeremy with experience. Even though the animal skin was not enough, they still tried to thicken the human skin. They continued to look for materials, however, because the materials were on a slope, they accidentally fell hard. They decided to switch to using pine trees to suppress the wind. The third team has almost completed the hiding place with trees lined up. Just light a fire and they will lead other changes. The fourth team, after resting, continued working to cover the openings. When the hope is completed before playing the evening, Due to Jeremy's leg, the second team was delayed a lot, but after waiting for help, he quickly returned to help. Trees filled the sides of the tree from the top downhill, and the Chit and Jeremy moved them back. With new shoes, work went much easier, but their team was still the slowest. Waiting for it to get dark, the first team temporarily stopped working and returned to gather around the fire. At this time, I discovered that my upper finger was seriously injured due to this set table price. When it starts to warm up, the pain really starts to subside. Covered in darkness, the teams are still continuing their fight against the harsh weather. As the temperature gets lower and lower, you don't have to think about it to know that tonight will be very uncomfortable. They made it through the first night. Choosing the next mind is to continue perfecting the hidden place, but due to not sleeping well at night. Then the 2 eyes were closed like a bear, and the wound on the foot of the first eye was closed. If not, then the organs are not a big problem. The second group has the slowest progress, the wind boredom method is almost ineffective. Early in the morning, I went out to get some snow, but before I could get back to where my master hid, it started to rain. It's a double whammy for this group. Progress has been slow, coconuts have been rained on, the team's morale has suffered a huge shock. The third group sleeps the best not only because of the fast progress but also because of the many hidden places between them, forming a natural wind-boring wall. However, that morning, I realized that my breathing was not right, and clouds of black shoes with heavy shoes came. To cope with the upcoming major disaster, they quickly gathered materials to leave the rest in a hidden place. Meanwhile, the fourth group had begun to have excess snow, which they had gathered outdoors. The first person to encounter trouble was Zerman. He stopped as if he couldn't keep his body warm. It's too late, if you can't keep warm, are you going to give up? Zerman did not hesitate to answer yes, making everyone very worried. In this condition, if one member is lost, the remaining 2 will not be able to continue. After drinking 2 drops of hot water, his body gradually calmed down. Returning to the third group, they covered the machine where the host was hidden with 2 layers of landscape. But inside there are still some drafty places. Being the only healthy person in the group, he is constantly collecting real materials. But the human body is not made of compassion. After more than 30 hours without eating or drinking, constantly laboring in the cold weather, he started to have negative symptoms. Perhaps due to hypoglycemia. When he saw most of the guardian spirits, he rested. But when I returned to my hidden place, his condition did not improve, he even felt nauseous, possibly due to dehydration. In cold, dry air, mist evaporates immediately, leading to dehydration without even realizing it. If the strongest person falls, the third group that is leading will also take out their gear. Meanwhile, the second group of experts is quite responsible, 1 person works, 2 people watch. After that, they hesitated to call him in to rest, but he stopped as if he refused to sit still and continue to gather materials to hide in the master's hiding place. Finally, when he couldn't stand the cold anymore, he returned to his master's hiding place to warm up. Now he's not too worried about the temperature, he's just afraid of falling over and kissing it, causing it to stay. Looks like he suffered a back injury. If the injury becomes severe, it will be difficult to give the final consultation. What makes 12 contestants survive naked in the wilderness in a sub-zero environment? They live in the worst hiding places. Faces some of the harshest conditions on Earth. Without food, water or even clothing. However, as long as they spend until the end, they will win a prize of $500,000 from the organizers. As she entered the second day, her harsh feeling had dropped dramatically. Early in the morning, people from Group 2 noticed a strange smell, not a musty or spoiled goat smell, but a slight scent of lemongrass. Gabby heard that and also searched for it and finally discovered a pile of feces, claiming it was left by a bear. In Rocky Mountain, Montana, grizzly bears and black bears are often awake during the late winter to search for food. Going a little further, they discovered a series of foot traps. The 2 girls were very worried because the distance from here to the camp only took about a minute. It is very likely that they will have to face the bear again. Therefore, they decided to make a long towel and always carry it with them for protection. At this time, the first group was still suffering from the rough snow. XARA said that even though he slept among people, he still couldn't keep warm, mainly because the owner's hiding place had many open trays and the fuel from the fire could not be maintained for long. After waking up, everyone decided to make a fire wall, which means using stones arranged in a semicircle to reflect the fire from the fire back to the sleeping area. However, I think glazing the openings is still more effective. Camera moved to Group 2, their rescue was the slowest, the main hiding place was not yet finished, but the most serious thing was the injury in his back. After a night of rest, knowing that the pain not only doesn't get better, but also hurts more. So, today, Jeremy took on all the work carrying his bow and arrow across the river in the hope of catching Hailey to improve his meal. The other guy waited at the stream for quite a while and finally saw a small cave and discovered a Hailey. Jeremy quickly jumped and shot, but woke up without them. Meanwhile, in Group 4, West, the elderly, poor health, and those who are not familiar with the conditions cannot do much. Having spent most of their time in hiding, their cold symptoms have not yet completely subsided. The last gas they took from the river was so cold that they had difficulty breathing. At extremely low temperatures, blood vessels are cold, blood concentrates in the internal organs, reducing circulation to the limbs and causing frequent sagging, causing gradual dehydration without realizing it. By nightfall, was vomiting, his health was low and he refused to participate in these challenges. Even for young people it was difficult to survive. After a difficult night, play dawns and Group 4 is now left with only one dummy and one injured person. A single girl becomes the main undertaker. It's worth noting that the organizers were wise to choose a healthy girl from the beginning. When Sarah went out to get water, she discovered a lot of snow algae, a type of vixen that lives on carrion and can cause pollution when it enters the body. She had to go further to a small boat to get water and then go to a large boat. After drinking water, Wazam felt nauseous. Returning to the first group, although the fire wall was not large, it was enough to make the owner's hiding place warmer. At least they no longer woke up in the house. Killing plans to improve Vietnam's roads on land will reduce the effectiveness of warming. After completing their morning work, the two men easily hunted to find more food. Meanwhile, Sarah and Wat stayed at camp to upgrade their bedding. They found a lot of long fibers spread down to the ground, both warming and preventing water from spreading. After completing the afternoon's work in the bush, the two bottles carried hunting tools. The camera switched to the second team. Jeremy was dissatisfied that the light dust couldn't hunt the worms, so in the afternoon he returned to his spot to try his luck. In this harsh reality, it's best not to stay in one place instead of walking around, because the more you walk, the colder it will be. But even so, it can only last for a maximum of 2 hours at a time. You were lucky that today, when waiting to return to the hermitage, Crick and his group had already built a fire and had the virtue. As for waiting for Dad, haven't we already encountered a bear so far, so now everyone is going out with full weapons, bringing whatever tools they can. However, the most dangerous member of the group is currently leaving. Even though he's been sick since yesterday and today he can't stop coughing, his chest muscles are always tight. The other members were very worried that the only man on the team was in such a condition, but did not want to just sit still in hiding. Because this involves winning a prize of 500,000 due to Lami. During the final search, Rai discovered a mark on a rabbit and followed it with his teammates. I quickly discovered a rabbit sitting in a corner, breathing heavily. During the period, it was the only time playing at Chu Kai, so Ri could only try to calculate the score with stones. He prepared his stance and kicked, but the rabbit's owner quickly ran away. Having missed the only chance to have food in the past 2 days, Ri felt extremely disappointed. Obviously, discovering rabbit tracks here gives hope that there will be a chance to find food in the future. After hearing the throne, Jeremy continued to wait. But still no movement. Then he saw some hidden signs of catbirds. But no body was found nearby. Continuously missing food combined with his back injury gave Jeremy a headache. In these harsh times, if one is caught by fate, it will be very dangerous. Even though he tried to summon him, his condition did not improve and he was even so in love that he could not stand. Seeing this, the cameraman could no longer ignore it. Lean walked in and asked if he wanted to call for medical help. Jeremy immediately refused, crying and saying he didn't want to go home. Finally, the medical team was still called to check. "You're pregnant, Jeremy is just hypoglycemic and dehydrated." The doctor reminded him that he needed to drink more water and food, and that if he felt it in his face, he should sit down to avoid falling. Back to the first team, the two men on the field still hadn't achieved anything. But not long after, they discovered a rabbit owner. Killing the rubber, and using arrows, both attacked at the same time from both sides. However, the owner quickly escaped, and not long after they found some wild fruits. They tasted the fruit and found that the taste was not very good, but the wild fruit still provided some nutrients, so they decided to collect it and bring it home. Sarah, who stayed at the house, was given a new position. "When I hope, I will sleep better now." When the two men drove home, they were very happy, feeling like the first team had an advantage when no one was sick or filial, and they had a quiet and comfortable place to hide. This advantage continued as little by little they moved closer to over $500,000, by the time the match was ready for the fourth day. During the third round, the goat's condition became weaker and weaker. Not only did he have a runny nose, but he also woke up constantly. Gabby quickly asked him to rest and stop finding food for her and his wife. The two girls took advantage of the sunlight to shoot in the yard and quickly discovered a small light on the side. It's not delicious, but it's still edible, so they collected some to rely on. However, when they were about to continue shooting, the wind suddenly became stronger, forcing them to return to camp. When they arrived, they discovered that she was sweating and unable to make love. This is no longer enough. Gabby quickly checked hard and pressed the common acupuncture point. Finally, Moi woke up from a daze. But the king decided to refuse medical intervention. So, the two girls hastily cooked some bright vegetables to eat to restore their health. I was in the first team, but I didn't mind because I couldn't get anything, so I decided to try catching fish in the small fish. Like river water buying cold water, so he planned to build a dam like Hylie to catch fish. To stop the fish, they created say lake from a dam in the river, making catching fish easier. However, this brings many disadvantages, because working on ice can easily lead to falls. But in the end, the stomach was already on its last legs. Many trees are planted in the river bed and reinforced with stones, but how effective it is needs time to verify. A few hours later, the first group to check in was delighted to discover some fish were kept. But they still hide under the ice, requiring more effort to catch them. They continued to arrange tree branches to raise the water level, forcing the fish to rise to the surface to breathe. On the 5th day of the competition, the boat under the pile of paintings was so damp that I didn't want to get up. During the weather, an elk broke through her beautiful dream slope. Hearing the noise, the whole group immediately woke up, but someone had already run away. Today, Rod finally started to shoot and found the Sealy that Jeremy mentioned. He did not choose to believe, but decided to make the arrest. Using a few pieces of wood and tree branches, he made a simple wicker. However, the effect was not easy because Hylie was so large. After completion, Rod was of course feeling a small pain at times. After spending countless minutes in the wind, he had to be transported back to his hiding place and expressed his intention to retreat to his comrades. Roche's decision surprised the whole group, but they could not force him to continue if his health allowed. Finally, they teamed up for the show, and in the process Rock became the first person to exit the competition. From the beginning, the second team did not have the advantage of being ahead of the other teams. Some people had to postpone the match, which caused them to fall short. The 5th crazy day, the wind blew stronger again, making everything even more harsh. Who do you think will be the next person to leave the competition? This is the pinnacle of the Desert Survival Challenge, where each contestant only brings one dish and is divided into 3 groups. Dropping into the rocky tournament in the middle of a cold winter with sub-zero temperatures, they don't have enough warm clothes, but whoever takes the last photo will receive 500,000 yen. On the 5th day, we exchanged 2 and only left the car and Jeremy. Having lost a teammate, the place they were hiding in became colder, and the 2 of them had to hug each other to keep warm. The other teams weren't any better, like changing 3 was very comfortable because there were 2 girls to warm up and wash. On Friday, Mo was sick and dehydrated, so the yard sale was temporarily taken over by 2 girls. They found lion paws and animal bones, but there was nothing left to use. Meanwhile, Team 4 improved their hiding place and shifted their focus to finding food. During the interview, Jeremy discovered a rabbit but it ran away. I was just planning on placing it along the rabbit's path. Yours are like the steel wire bracelets we used to use when we were kids and the results depend on luck. The first team built a dam on Thursday but so far there have been no results. The wound on his toe was infected, so he had to check the dam himself. As he approached, he saw a few fish but the water was still not deep enough. They decided to continue placing rocks in the water because the water's heat dissipation rate is 20 to 4 times faster than air. Each time they enter the water, they only have 3 minutes to operate. But when they got into the water, they lit a big fire in Van Bo to warm themselves, saved them for a while and then transported them back to restore their body temperature. Currently, exchanging 2 only leaves Sting and Jeremy hunting. So the task of finding bat food falls to Jeremy. But when they left, Rod set out to catch beavers and Jeremy brought tools to check. Even though it was activated, the beaver was not trapped, forcing Jeremy to open a breach to search. Incidentally, he came across a bird, but his elixir was half-dried. Even though she tried to sell more, he still didn't succeed. And as a result, Jeremy missed the opportunity. However, he discovered traces of a cylindrical creature. If caught, this could win him a reward of $500,000. Error 500, server error. 1500 that's an error, there was an error. Please try again later that's all we know. But everyone was able to spot him in time and ran away. She returned to group 3, and after falling asleep, decided to split into 2 groups and continue the shooting range, while Gabby and Zhu focused on fishing. They burned a hole in the ice, dropped their hooks and waited patiently. Kai discovered the tracks of a duck but missed and the duck flew away, while Gabby and Zhu were lucky enough to have a catch. Gabby was so excited that she jumped into the water to catch it, but in the end she lost her hook and was left trying to get down with nothing in her hand. In Team 4, after Jeremy returned from the inspection, he and Vince discussed a plan to build a dam to prevent water from flowing. Intended to be used as a kanktree and used as a temporary sentence. Sarah was also busy preparing the ingredients to make it. And at 4 p.m., Jeremy went to check on it and discovered that it had been damaged by some animal. Sarah suggested that the bust should be made smaller, but Jeremy stubbornly refused to listen. Said that he saw that rabbit and that his choice was suitable. That night, sure enough, a rabbit came nearby. Even though the official gently slipped past, he was not caught. Come try your best, the first team's dam will eventually reach a water level. Kill quickly and prepare to use the fishing net, and Quats find 2 done in a sad pile. While Sarah was out hunting alone, they planned to find some dew or berries, and soon enough, they had filled a meditation position. Finished making the hooks and prepared 3 to 4 fish at the same time, just in time for Sarah to return with the dew. She cut it in half, took the real part inside the sticky rice and tried it and found the taste wasn't bad. This was the first time in 7 days that they had eaten something. In the afternoon, the third team went out fishing together, mainly because there were already fishing wings to bring hope to everyone. This time, as soon as I dropped the hook into the water, there was momentum, but when I pulled it back up, the fish slipped away. Not giving up, they continued to release the scent, and finally, after half an hour, they pulled a fish ashore. This statue moved the whole team to tears. Team 3 became the first team in the season to catch the first parle. After separating the fish on the shore and lighting a fire to grill right on the spot. After another day, they finally got to eat. Tastes 50 times better than discarded meat. While Team 3 had fun with grilled fish. Then Team 4 encountered dozens of difficulties. The dam they planned for has reached the ideal water level. But Sarah's fish hook is not yet complete. Making Black Brother feel very uncomfortable and making Sarah feel bad. Sarah explains that the necklace needs to be done very delicately. Otherwise, the song will escape easily and the effort will be wasted. Meanwhile, Doi 2 discovered a fish in a small fish pond near where he was hiding. Jeremy and Kais also pretend to be fishing. But before they could catch anything, they noticed a storm coming. The doe must return to the hidden uncle. When they returned, they used the fire because no one had stayed to keep the fire going and the fire had gone out. Kais quickly started the fire again, luckily he did it before the storm came. Team 3 had just finished eating fish and realized that the leopard was coming, so they decided to give up fishing and go fishing, because without fish, they could die. Team 1 also had a lot of fun preparing for the snow leopards. They lost the last 10 and tried to hide in the owner's hiding place. The night of Saturday was colder than ever. Even when they hugged each other to keep warm, they still couldn't keep warm enough, and at midnight it was 10%. In the days that followed, the weather got worse, and it looked like the second team would help completely retreat. This is truly a challenge for real men when each person only carries one item. Randomly picked up and released into the cold Rocky Mountains in the middle of winter without food, water, or even adequate clothing. Whoever takes the last photo will win a reward of 500,000 yen. On Saturday, a sudden storm of snow made the already harsh living conditions worse. After the 8th day, neither team felt comfortable, mainly because the weather was too cold. Even though they warmed each other up, it still took a long time. Even the float placed next to the fire caught ice, enough to show how low the solar temperature was. Among them, Exchange 2 is the team in the worst situation, the only group of 2, where their uncle doesn't even have a decent scene. The snowy wind passes through the openings deep inside. Besides the sleeping area, the end of the ground was also covered with snow. Therefore, a main goal of day 8 is to close these pink holes. After the solution, the 2 quickly went to search for materials, but they could only do it for a moment before their hands and feet were already at the gate. Jeremy said that his whole body was almost in pain, but in order to save $500,000 and live more comfortably in the coming days, they had to try to earn it. After day 9, the condition of the cricket's foot seemed to be better, at least it was no longer bleeding. In cold weather, it is a miracle that the wound does not get damaged. Gig got up early to go out to get water. He heard squirrels calling across the river, so he decided to cross the river to shoot, while Quats wanted to build a fish trap in the lake. The 2 men went looking for food. Sarah didn't hesitate, she discovered wild rabbit droppings in a pile of grass placed nearby. Her bed is a circle of string powder that is usually at all the exits, but there is no scent in it, no wind to see if a wild rabbit will get in or not. And on the afternoon of the 9th day, the IT team came to check the health of the teams. It was very cold last night, so perhaps they were afraid that someone would be in danger. The medical team mainly checks heart rate and body temperature. When the heart rate is very low, the blood vessels tighten and the heart rate easily increases. If the recent heart rate exceeds 100, this is considered dangerous. In particular, the previously sick fisherman Brit had a heart rate of 166,130 and Sarah's heart rate was also high. The medical team reminded her to drink enough water. If her condition worsened, they would have to remove her from the competition. The health check put a lot of pressure on the teams, especially Jeremy, because his team lost a member and had no food on the day of departure. After checking, he quickly went to check the fishing line but still didn't see anything. On the way home, he had pain in his pen and a series of problems made Jeremy feel disappointed. However, when he returned to his hiding place, he found the warmth of resignation. Chie is worried about Jeremy, but she knows that if she loses another teammate, he cannot survive alone and dreams of the $500,000 disappearing. Meanwhile, Chong 3 is determined to change the situation and aims to catch the wild rabbit they met, but in the end they still fail. To take care of Sarah, he gave her plenty of time to continue herding the fish while the other two didn't go out to look for food. Although she couldn't find food, she discovered a type of herb that can thin the blood and reduce digestion, helping to adapt to Sarah's condition. He ate it in the library and brought it back to her. The effect was so good that Sarah immediately felt more comfortable than anyone else. Elsewhere, the kill rules exploring new areas to find food. He discovered a new gnat near the stream and immediately prepared a slingshot. His legs were getting heavier and heavier, so he climbed up and tried to get a better look. Halfway there, he discovered that a coyote was still warm. It could be said that it was injured and died from the cold. It was extremely exciting to find such large food in such a harsh environment. As he waited to return to his hiding place, Watts was so shocked that he couldn't say a word. He was happy without chili. Sarah quickly lit the fire and cooked it right away. This is definitely the best party of the season. Some people were wearing so many boots that oil filled their mouths, while the two people in the second team looked miserable. Jeremy thought he wasn't getting better all day, so he had to go for a checkup alone. Just like last time, it was activated but there was no scent. But on the way back, she discovered an area full of trees. This plant also contains a lot of starch, tastes like celery, and each plant contains about 80 calories. However, even though the soil was too hard due to the impact, the mulch team still couldn't get any plants. Play quickly in 3 dishes, change one after eating grilled meat in the afternoon and continue cooking another. They have a warm shelter, a fire from the winged world, and enough food to last for many days. As long as you don't waste it, the $500,000 reward is just a matter of time. Some people even opened a food stall to sell food and keep it wild, really making others jealous. When the competition entered the 10th day, the ITH team went to Team 3 to check again. Even though he drank a lot of hot water in the past few days, his heart rate still remained at 136. Doctors say you must be in good health. If your heart rate remains high, you will be forced to withdraw from the competition. Meanwhile, Team 2, after 2 days of rest, Jeremy's condition was much better, but the day without food made both of them worried. Ms. Chich talked about meeting a tree and kissed her, and Jeremy had trouble thinking of a way. Arriving at the spot where the tree was discovered, Jeremy lit a dry fire to soften the ice on the ground. He thought it was great, but in reality he cried. After being burned, the ground was still as hard as before. The feeling of having food and not being able to eat it is even more desperate than not finding food. Elsewhere, change 4, Sarah's heart rate is still high. Wes and Somel go out to find food. This time they discovered a few slopes. Now I said that a long time ago, you wouldn't even look at the bones, but now is not the time to choose. They gathered him a large knife and then took him back to his hiding place. For Team 1, they didn't eat it raw but cooked caramel, then added sticky rice water to make the most of the amount. Once cooked, the bones taste like squash, sweet to the eyes, very delicious. Just after eating, I was in the water basking in the sun. I changed my mind and went to check on Team 4. Sarah's condition is much better, the whole team is lighter. The other patient, well, was also re-examined today. Not only did his situation not improve, it got worse. Purple stamens have increased to 148, the risk of muscle damage is very high. The medical team decided they had to pull him out. Rue was very upset when she received love, but there was no wind because of 500,000 USD. Or because I don't want to spoil the competition. The two hugged one more time before finally parting ways. That wind, Team 2 became the next team to be eliminated. The two men looked 100% at the ants on the ground, salivating. Suddenly, the black man picked up one and put it into the deer's mouth, not surprisingly when he saw that it was really difficult to finish. The Snow Royal Challenge has entered the 10th day. Apart from a few pieces of dew, they haven't eaten anything. I think this is a forced solution, otherwise winning the $500,000 prize is just a dream. But it always hurts that if you have too much, you won't change. After that, the life of the first team was actually much more bearable. Now that they had eaten a dog weighing several dozen kilograms, they still hadn't eaten it all. After picking up the dew, he then boots a few of the real stars. If he can get this and still not be satisfied, he's still lucky to be a god. But even though they live like angels, the members wearing a chalk do not stop their steps. Waz is doing her best, catching crabs to improve her meal. The two cone-shaped baskets are put together, inside is the remaining dog organ, then place the basket near the stream, just wait. The guys turned around and transferred to Team 2. The two of them hadn't eaten anything for 10 days, making them extremely weak. Although they also tried to find a way, burning only resulted in them digging out a small tree without food. Two people bitten and tried to find more food by finding a dry branch to use as a fishing scent. Not long after, the boat found a large fish, and the two of them arrived at the riverbank and transformed into fishermen. The three changed, leaving only 2 girls left after exchanging 3 backs. They have tried many ways to shoot, but the most valuable method is still fishing. And wait, the two girls went to the lake again. No, the weather was quite good. The level class on the lake had already faded quite a bit. Of course, not long after, they caught a fish and quickly went to eat it. A piece of protein in the stomach is at least 50 times more delicious than discarded meat. Catching the fish again, the two girls' spirits also improved, but be picked up and said something was stuck, saying. Because she hadn't brushed her teeth for a long time, she felt her gums were ulcerated. They quickly called a doctor to check and confirm that there was a foreign object in the woman and that she might lose some of her functions, and because she was so close, she was susceptible to infection. Dr. Hyun tried to pay close attention, and then, the night fell again. In this team, the situation is not very calm. Outside it looked like there was an animal walking back and forth. Through surveillance cameras, they discovered that it could be a large leopard. Everyone in the camp was not breathing heavily. Finally, they survived until the 11th day and Rumen discovered a few rice husks nearby. These are new, clearly from last night, and appear to be from an adult cougar. The lions ran less than 30 meters. The lion was definitely watching them. Maybe because they were running with fire, it didn't attack. Suspicious of this, West used himself as a scent for this thing. Duong men went to check the rabbits, but there was nothing. Then they discovered a nest of 9 on the cliff and West immediately thought of the lion from last night. His grip softened. Because catching corrugated iron here is not very convenient, so I decided to make a push rod to catch shocks. He found a suitable stone and placed some on the edge of the tree, then carved a space on it and created a shape like a tree. On the other side, later stay at the camp to collect firewood. However, just a short while later, the water started to steepen and could not be tested, so the doctor was called. Because this group did not lack food, the doctor searched for her and discovered that her blood pressure was up to 130% and her blood OC level was only 90%. The doctor did not guess that Sarah was hiding signs of high-altitude wind edema, because at high altitude, the pressure in the blood vessels increases, causing the blood vessels to become filled with fluid and edema, which if not treated could lead to death. The doctor reminded Sarah that if she feels short of breath, she must sit down and rest immediately. Conscious and Jeremy, 2 professional fishermen, had been sitting next to the boat for 3 to 4 hours, but there was no sign of the fishing rod, despite their best efforts. In fact, looking at the seaweed here, one can only see that it is light and shallow, making it impossible to catch fish. But reality gave them a surprise. After half an hour, Jeremy actually caught a fish, even though it was only with his bare hands. But at least we can fish here. Not long after, they caught another fish. They did not dare to put words to words, so they quickly returned to the place where they hid, fished and finally had food. The two were happy. This was their first meal in the past 10 days. They have overcome the feeling of being in awe of others. On the other hand, Sarah had to sit guarding the fish tank for 5 days, and even a healthy person like West felt frustrated. Luckily, by the afternoon of the 10th day, the fish tank was finally completed. The whole group hurriedly brought the tank to Beat Duk. After only 30 rounds, West's upper body was frozen and he could no longer feel it. As for the girl, after a long time of not catching anything, West and Jiamen only knew they had to pay attention to the ants again. After he struggled a bit, Jiamen went to check again. There had been no harvest for several days. He had no more hope. However, today he unexpectedly caught a fish. When Jiamen brought the baby back, the whole camp exploded with sounds of joy. Sarah even had tears in her eyes. She used her hands to give up and then quickly fight again. After 10 days, they finally got the meal they wanted, and the group regained their spirit to continue the fight to win $500,000. Meanwhile, Sarah's condition was getting worse and worse, and she couldn't stand even a little bit of activity. Trip was extremely worried, but he didn't know what to do. He could only check again to try to find more food. However, it seemed like an animal came, but because it wasn't small enough, it couldn't catch anything. ZX and West rediscovered the trap and quickly returned to the house to take care of Sarah. My turn to Group 3, Gabby to fight gingivitis. I intend to try chewing the bark of the tree. Because this tree bark contains salicylates and maple oil, which can reduce pain and inflammation. Even though they eat a lot, as one might say. Animal posthumous, in the current situation. If you want to give up, you have to bite the bullet. And on the 11th day, I remember the temperature dropped sharply again. And the person suffering the most right now is Sarah. She already had signs of altitude sickness. The combination of the cold weather and Sarah's lack of strength was made worse when she couldn't stop coughing. Even though she slept through the night, she still couldn't feel warm. Finally, on the 12th day, when it was morning, Sarah still woke up restlessly. Even though the person inside was hiding, she still couldn't breathe, and Sarah's mind also began to take hold. No matter how attractive the prize of $500,000 is, she doesn't want to leave it behind for her children. Finally, Sarah decided to request a change of medical opinion. At this time, the level of fire OC in her blood dropped to 92%. Accompanied by a high fever of 38 degrees. doctors decided to take her away for safety. Upon receiving this news, Sarah appeared. But seeing that there are only 2 days left before you can receive your bonus. But she couldn't stand it. However, the medical team warned that if she continued, it is very possible that the joy in the morning will be life-threatening. In the end, Sarah had to accept this reality. Although they did not lack food, but their team lost a member because of the plateau condition. With only 2 days left until the competition ends, the unranked team becomes the only remaining team. Meanwhile, an event occurred when a bear attacked a person. Right on the 12th day, in the sky near the competition area, there was the sound of a helicopter flying up. Occasionally there is the sound of a dog rushing through the window and then the sound of a regular car. The contestants were worried and didn't know what was going on. On the morning of the 13th day, the program crew arrived at the competition site and the contestants discovered what had happened last night. A bear attacked a person, killing the victim. The rescue team found the patient this morning. One goal of the show's crew is to inform the contestants that some of the bears are waking up from frostbite and that they are not too wary right now. But it might surprise the contestants. They reminded everyone to be safe and decide what to organize for dispersal in the next few days. The most difficult thing in making self-defense weapons is how to connect them securely. Gabby, with a wealth of outdoor living experience, has come up with a solution to make natural rafters from jujube tree branches. Choose a little more wood and boil it, thereby creating a strong sticky resin. She set to work immediately, cooking in peace. Wait for the plastic to expand and then press it evenly with a wooden board, then use the wire to fix it to create a sharp self-defense weapon. After Group 4 and T-Rabbit, their spirit was very high. 2 people, Zerman and Sarah, decided to go to the yard and soon they found a rose bush. At first, they planned to collect a little to supplement nutrition. But when Sarah just got a few passes, she discovered gray hair and thought it might be a sign of gray hair. After immediate notification from the production team, both of them made a quick decision to return to running to ensure safety. Meanwhile, West stayed behind to check and suddenly discovered that he had captured the monk. He was very happy and prepared a meal with a ton hoa dish. People of Group 3 have hidden health status and do not have enough strength to fight against dangerous people. After 13 days, each person can only eat 1 small fish. As they continued fishing, they spotted a beaver nearby, but when they checked again, then they resisted, causing them to keep trying again. After Sarah was taken away, only 2 men remained, killing was and having to deal with the threat of bears, they continued to shoot. When they came that close last time, from afar, they saw him being attacked. This time it really didn't disappoint them, the little one was looked at in pieces. Although the child is not big, it is enough to fill their budget. However, was said that eating a little is enough and it's not enough, so they recommend using a little to make a difference. The 2 people went to the riverbank to get some fish and flour into it, and the sausage continued to go green. However, the next incident caused them to use the jar. After the dawn changed, animals were scattered everywhere, like a small slaughtered area. And there is not only one animal but also antelopes that give pebbles and incense. At this time, the 2 men were no longer calm and decided to run back and hide, not going out anymore. Group 2 sat fishing on the shore for half a day but still didn't have any fish. But just as they were about to confess and return to camp, the fishing line began to react. Pulled up, the fish was much bigger than last time. One person takes 1 breath at a time on a fish. Then prepare to bake. A piece of grilled fish, a night of snow. Even if you are a fairy, you won't change. He drank it now, and they went to check again. Group 2 struggled for many days. But currently both sides are still evenly matched. The first group waited at the camp where the cricket's legs began to bone again. Looking at the current situation, before leaving, there were no signs of improvement. Today is medical examination day again. I was very nervous when I saw the doctor, thinking I would be sent back to my toes. The doctor saw the wound and realized that the situation was very serious. But he still said that he had gotten much better in the past few days and believed that the infections were showing signs of recovery. Seeing so much confidence, the doctor decided to check again tomorrow and decide if he needed to be taken away or not. After the doctor left, so that the patient could rest fully, shouted as if he was going to check on himself, as if there was a mouse as bait. This time we finally have a harvest. The cake is Little Tun Hung's lychee. Eat soft food with dew broth to cook. Then you don't belong to Group 4. And on the 13th, unprecedented strong winds caused the temperature to drop to the lowest level in history. The teams tried to summon. Because in the end they are only 1 step away from $500,000 of inflation. Finally the 14th day came. Chit woke up early for once. But it could be said that she had been up all night, because today was the day of retreat. The 2 girls in Group 3 also woke up early to prepare, only Group 1 had to go through 1 more test. The doctor checked with the patient and asked, the doctor said it was not painful. When they saw that the ordeal was about to end, the doctors stopped making things difficult, and the epidemic was finally allowed to withdraw. But whether it can reach the point of retreat on its own depends on the ability and will of the epidemic. Group 4 was the only group with all members, and had prepared extensively before leaving. Set out, light a campfire and start the journey. They will start from the plateau at 6,000 feet. Overcome the close connections and go through the territory of lions and incense. On the road, you can also encounter cows weighing